Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well. Welcome back to another MLB DFS Slurve video here on YouTube, here at No Huddle Fantasy Sports. It's August 22nd, 2020. We're talking baseball specific DFS for the main slate tonight. Over on FanDuel, over on DraftKings. Looking like you have 10 total games available on the main slate for FanDuel. I believe it's the exact same number on DraftKings. Obviously, we will specifically be diving into the FanDuel app here, talking about some of my favorite pitchers, stacks, one-off bats, covering everything you kind of need in a very quick fashion here in the Slurve video for tonight's main slate. Taking a quick look at what we're dealing with in this 10-game slate. In terms of run projections, we have 0 teams above 6. You have Chicago Cubs leading the charge here at 5.97 runs projected for that team tonight, that lineup. Cleveland and Minnesota, 5.37, 5.27. And you have a couple more teams, 7 total teams above 5 runs projected for their lineup tonight. Obviously, this video is published really early in the day. The only lineups that are out are Minnesota and Kansas City. So a lot of that stuff will, in fact, change. Just make sure you keep up to date with that. And then on the flip side, you have 3 teams projected below 4 runs scored. That's Texas, San Francisco, and Colorado in that order. So keep that in mind for pitching. In terms of rain, weather, early on, it looks like, again, you want to pay attention to that Philly-Atlanta game. It's been giving people trouble over the last couple of nights. We had a delay. We had a postponement, all due to weather. So some rain early on showing. Just make sure you check that. Same deal with Boston at Baltimore. In Baltimore, it looks like a little bit of rain there. And then a little bit of rain, even a little bit less than those two in Chicago for, that Chicago Cubs game. So make sure you check all that before lock. Follow people on Twitter. Check on RotoGrinders weather, all that nonsense. It's very important, can really screw you up here. But outside of that, let's jump specifically into the FanDuel app here. Let's talk about pitchers as we always do. Right off the bat, there are only a couple of guys, in my opinion, that are worth considering here. I'll start with number 1. That's Zach Gallen, $10,000. For cash games, I think it's definitely a great play. But for tournaments, he's going to be highly owned, especially on FanDuel where only one pitcher is selected. There really aren't a lot of options today. He is on the road in San Francisco, but that's mainly the reason we're going to go with Zach Gallen here. And don't get me started on last night. We had a good thing going, obviously stacked Chicago White Sox. We were very unique. That was a low-owned stack, went absolutely crazy. Almost everyone we played hit a home run, except for Encarnacion. He didn't even get a hit. So pretty disappointing there. But overall, it was an excellent stack. Had us set up very well. We played Chad Kuhl for Pittsburgh. He pitched, in terms of pitching, he pitched really well. Somehow against one of the highest right-handed strikeout teams. He only had 1 strikeout, but nonetheless got the W. I think he might have got the quality start. He did well for his price tag of like $6,500. Did very well. And then we had Robbie Ray, the late night hammer, going for us. I don't know what to say there. He had 5 walks and 8 strikeouts. He gave up 4 runs, made mistakes against the only 2 guys in the San Francisco lineup you should make mistakes to as a left-hander, Flores, Longoria. Longoria is like 60 years old. Flores crushes lefties. Had walk guys before both of those, gave up two two-run shots. So very frustrating there. Still, for his price tag, did very well, but we did not play Buehler. I did talk about him a little bit, so hopefully you guys got that Buehler Chicago White Sox stack last night. But outside of that, I did not. Robbie Ray, we did okay. Like I said, we had a real chance to do some damage last night. Robbie Ray with 8 strikeouts and 5 walks. Man, if that guy just stops walking people, gives up a couple solo shots, that's 20 pitches, if you think about it, just in walks, at a minimum, unless he had some strikes in there, which I'm sure he did. Just very frustrating on that part. But nonetheless, still pitched decently well. But for tonight, we're going to stick to that same concept. We're going against the San Francisco Giants. The good thing here is the Giants are worse against right-handed pitching than they are left-handed pitching. And we saw 8 strikeouts with Robbie Ray last night. So the numbers on them dropped dramatically. They're a 96 WRC plus, which is 18th overall. They have a 306 WOBA, which is even worse, 21st overall in MLB, 144 ISO, so not hitting for power at all. That's bottom 5 in the league. And then a 22% strikeout rate. So they're not striking out at a high clip, 23rd overall in baseball. So not a great team in terms of strikeouts, but that's what we want on this slate. There's not a lot of pitching options. We're attacking a team that can hit right-handed pitching, and we're using Zach Gallen, a good, at least, right-handed pitcher. Pitching very well at $10,000 today on FanDuel, 2.40 0 ERA, 36 strikeouts. If we go to him specifically, he has a 30% strikeout rate on the season. It's a little bit above his average, but we'll take that right now. But you can see here, just pitching very, very well. You exclude that first game of the season where he was on a limited pitch count. The guy's, 9 strikeouts, 6 strikeouts, 7, 8, has that 30% strikeout rate going. He's given up no more than 2 earned runs in every game. He does give up the long ball, but he's been so far limiting that to solo shots, aka should have done that last night, Robbie Ray. But excellent opportunity here. I really like the matchup. And like I said, Zach Gallen has pitched very well so far. He's pitching on the road in San Francisco, a pitcher's park, just all good things here. I think especially for cash games, you can't avoid him. But in terms of tournaments, he will be highly owned, but I'll still be getting some shares of him there. Another guy I'm really interested in is Sheffield here for Seattle. He is pitching at home versus Texas, and he's not the most attractive option on other slates. I would never probably start him on any other slate, but it's an excellent opportunity pitching at home here. He hasn't been awful. I mean, you can see here, he's had 4, 5, 7 strikeouts, excluding that first game where he was limited. He did struggle versus Oakland, which is a problem. He's a left-handed pitcher. Oakland does hit lefties decently well. Your Semyons, your K. Davis, I don't know about him anymore, but Chapman. So understandable. It's a tough lineup to get through there. But in terms of others, Colorado, Houston's a team that typically hits lefties very well. He only gave up 1 earned and struck out 4 against a team that doesn't strike out well. So my point here is he's $7,500. He's decent enough, and he's playing Texas at home. Texas versus lefties has been really, really bad. You can target them any way you want here. 72 WRC plus. That's bottom 5 in the league. 288 WOBA. That's bottom 10 in the league. I think 22nd overall. 162 ISO. That's a bottom half team. And then they strike out. The most attractive number here is 27% of the time to lefties. Texas really has a lot of lefties in that lineup. So naturally, they are striking out a lot. And that's number 6 overall in baseball. So 27% strikeout rate is what we're aiming here for. Let's hope we can get 6 innings, 7 Ks. I'll give up a run or 2 as long as he gets the win. And I do like Seattle on the flip side to score runs against Texas and their current pitcher. So I do like that. Last thing I'd mention here is he is a favorite at home at -140. Got to like that for the W chance, especially on FanDuel. And then if we back up here, I forgot to mention that on Gallen. Gallen is a favorite. Arizona, a favorite on the road, -158. So pretty decent favorite for Zach Gallen. So as I mentioned, Zach Gallen and Sheffield will be my 2 main pitchers tonight. I guess you can go elsewhere if you like to lose DFS money or deposit time and time again. I don't see anywhere else to go, honestly. It's a difficult slate. I won't be going too heavy on this slate. We don't necessarily have any aces. Zach Gallen's a very good pitcher, don't get me wrong. But outside of that, I'm not playing Wheeler. Hendricks, we could quickly look at him. He's not a strikeout guy. He has, against Milwaukee, of course, because we always target them for strikeouts. But you remove that game, 5 is probably his limit. He's a good ground ball, limit, hard contact type of pitcher. I'm not going to start him today. The 2 will be Sheffield and Gallen. Flipping over to some bats here, let's talk stacks. You can go 100 different ways tonight. I'll mention a couple. This isn't specifically the order yet. I want to see how these lineups come out. And so with that said, we do have a Minnesota lineup, and I am liking Minnesota as a stack tonight. They are playing on the road in Kansas City. Kansas City not known to give up many long balls. It's a tough park to hit in. It's a good pitcher's park. But what I like most about this stack specifically is they have 8 of 9 left-handers in that lineup versus a young call-up pitcher in Singer. He's a rookie. There's nothing on Singer to really talk about. I've tried to look up stats on him. He's basically come up directly from, here, I'll navigate over to him. He came up basically directly from Double-A. Even in Double-A, he was a low strikeout guy. There's really nothing. 300 batting average against him, 347 ERA, 378 xFIP, 357, in Double-A. He has a 440 so far this year. Again, strikeouts very low. I think it's 8.4 per 9. So you're looking at a low strikeout guy versus I would think a pretty dangerous lineup. And then he has to navigate naturally through 8 lefties out of 9 total bats. There's some split hitters in there, but that's mainly what I like about him. He hasn't given up too many runs yet. He has a 4 earned run game against Chicago. I think tonight's the night he gets really blown up, and then you get into that Kansas City bullpen. But let's talk about specific bats. The number one bat I like is Max Kepler, the lefty, one of my favorite bats overall. You can go a number of ways here. You can switch over to shortstop. Polanco is going to give you that switch hitting lefty power. He's hitting second right now. Rosario, another lefty, another left-handed bat for them, hitting third. Cleanup tonight is Gonzalez, your third baseman. It's a nice stack. It fits very, very well. Again, like I mentioned, you have all these lefties. The only real righties are your Sano's, who's a powerful righty. And then who else do we? No, that's it. That's your really, everyone else is a switch hitter. I mean, you're not taking up too many offensive outfielder spots. Again, I just really, really like that as a stack tonight, that Minnesota stack. We'll see how it plays out. I might come off of that as the numbers come out tonight. But as a stack, one of my first stacks I'm considering is Minnesota tonight. You go a number of different ways. The main reason here is they're facing a rookie pitcher on the road. You get that on-the-road stack. That kid coming up straight from Double-A, and then on top of that, he has to face 8 of 9 lefties. We've seen them with power. I do like them a lot. Another random stack I want to mention here I think is in a good spot. A lot of people won't be considering this, and that's Baltimore. I talked about Baltimore 2 or 3 nights ago, and I didn't stack them. I'm scared because there's a lot of no names in that lineup, but man, they were in a good spot tonight. So Baltimore is playing at home. It's a park that favors bats. They're playing Perez for Boston. Perez's numbers are just not good. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, he's a low strikeout guy. His numbers are bad against both lefties and righties. Specifically, what I had written down here, he's a 454 xFIP as a lefty to lefties, has a 495 to righties, 346 WOBA to righties, 1.45 home runs per 9 to righties, strikes out at a rate of 18% across the board, left or right. So real low strikeout guy. I think there's going to be a lot of contact against him tonight. Again, especially the right-handed bats, which Baltimore's a little sneaky if you ask me. You have, let's start at the top here. Second base probably is going to be leading off with Alberto, a righty, decent, cheap, $3,200. Gotta like that. Santander, probably my favorite bat. He's been hitting really, really well. He is a switch hitter, does hit better as a righty, as a right-handed bat, so he'll be batting right against Perez tonight. Just an excellent, excellent season so far. Has 9 home runs. A couple games there, but look at that stretch. Just awesome numbers for Santander. Oops, don't want to do that. We'll back out here. And you have Nunez. He's a good right-hander for them, playing first base. 278, 5 home runs on him. What will stink is the next bat likely will be batting cleanup is Severino. He is listed as a catcher, so it's going to be tough. You're going to take up 2 good spots there with Nunez and Severino. And then last but not least here, I think you can go with, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Valika, something like that. I don't know. But he's another right-hander. All these guys offering a lot. Valika, he's a 251 ISO to left-hander, so certainly a good spot there for him. Well, the lineup isn't out yet. He's hitting, I think, 6th overall. But just check this out. As Baltimore's a stack, see how this lineup comes out. Perez, again, not a very good pitcher in a tough park to pitch in. You have a total of 4.91 runs projected for Baltimore tonight. So that's pretty good for Baltimore, all things considered. I do like Baltimore as a random stack. Outside of that, you can go a number of different ways. Again, you have a number of teams. I likely will not be stacking the Cubs. They are listed 5.97 runs tonight. I talked about them already. They have a lot of bats I'm interested in, but they just have struggled out of the gate, it seems. As a stack as a whole, I just have not been able to do well with them. Maybe tonight's the night, but they are in a good spot. Number 1 projected in terms of runs. Cleveland right behind them at 5.37. Again, I've stacked them several times. There's a lot of interesting bats I'm going to go with against Matt Boyd on the road tonight. At home tonight. I just won't stack them as a whole. Again, they let you down as a whole, but you can pick off one or two bats. Other stacks, though, I am considering. You could go with Boston, especially the left-handed bats. So we're sticking with that same game, playing Alex Cobb. Alex Cobb is just not a good pitcher. Hasn't been a good pitcher for years. I mean, 5 earned runs against Toronto in his last outing. If you took Toronto, which I believe we did, it was a good spot there. But you have a lot of, like, Verdugo will be leading off for them, a lefty. You can go, I guess, with a full stack with Martinez. I probably will not be doing that. But you have your Jackie Bradley's is another lefty. Devers, awesome price on him at $2,800. I do like Baltimore, especially the lefties against Cobb tonight. And then I guess a couple more I'll mention here. The Dodgers, obviously, always are in a good spot, but they are against a left-handed pitcher tonight. I think you can get creative here, in my opinion. So your Mookie Betts, obviously, great spot for him. Your AJ Pollock, Pollock probably going to be batting fourth. He was batting cleanup as a righty the other day. By the way, they are up against Kyle Freeland, the lefty for Colorado. His numbers are really bad, but again, he pitches a lot in Colorado. Still not the greatest pitcher in the world. I think you can take advantage of him here. Turner in a good spot, right on left matchup. Taylor. And then I do like, if you want to try to switch it up a little bit, get some lesser-owned guys, Corey Seager has always bat left on left very well. And Bellinger also isn't too bad himself. Oops, sorry. I keep hitting that same button there. Bellinger left on left hasn't been a bad situation either. It is an expensive stack. If you mix in your Taylors, your Turners, your Pollocks, it becomes a more affordable stack. But on tonight's slate, again, money doesn't really matter. And I guess with that said, let's start talking about some of the best bats for the night. As I mentioned, money's not really an issue tonight. So I do really like, I mentioned Seager already. I do really like Lindor as a one-off bat. I'd like Ramirez, even though he really let me down last night. He shouldn't be $4,000. Those are my two Cleveland bats I'm really interested in. But overall, my number one bat on the night, and this is a little interesting spot here, I'm loving Paul Goldschmidt. It's $3,600. He's playing at home tonight, has that right on left matchup. Wade Miley is a really bad pitcher in my opinion. I mean, he was a 16 ERA so far this year. We've attacked him for the last couple of years. There isn't a lot of righties in the St. Louis lineup. It's a reason I don't like to stack them. I tried the other night. It did okay, but Paul Goldschmidt is the elite right-handed bat. Crushes lefties, absolutely crushes lefties. I love Paul Goldschmidt tonight, but some other ones, Freddie Freeman is in a good spot. I think if you want to go with if we could find him here. If you want to go with anything from that Atlanta-Philly game, again, watch the weather though. Eric Hosmer as another one single bat from the San Diego game, another first baseman. In terms of bats, I really like from the Chicago team. I talked about that I don't want to stack them, but Ian Happ is in a good spot. Probably will be leading off. And then probably my second overall favorite bat on the day is Schwarber at $2,700. Really good spot there, left on right matchup. Lopez, just not a very good pitcher. 54 ERA for him so far. I won't be stacking, as I mentioned, but I do like him overall, Kyle Schwarber. And then just a couple more bats I'll mention here. This guy should be in the lineup for Cleveland tonight. Luplow, however you pronounce it, $2,300. Guy that has just career great left on or right on left numbers. A powerful right-handed bat. Hopefully we'll be batting up a little bit in the order, playing at home first. Matt Boyd here, lefty, that just isn't very good. So I do like him as a one-off bat. In terms of second base, I talked about Freeman. I think you can also go with Camargo. He should be moving up in the order. There aren't a lot of lefties in this Atlanta lineup. And again, Atlanta becomes an attractive stack depending on how many lefties they squeeze in that lineup. I don't really think Wheeler is a good pitcher overall. Has a pretty bad home run rate to lefties, but there's only one or two lefties typically in this lineup. If you get your Matt Adams in, your Markakis, your Inciarte, they move them up in the order. I think you can go with an Atlanta stack, but I haven't mentioned them specifically because I don't know how that'll play out. It's one of those ones we got to watch and see how the lineup comes. And last but not least here, another guy that I've played time and time again. I think he's in a good spot tonight, and that's Nick Castellanos. Playing in St. Louis, $4,200, pretty expensive, but he's a good bat. I mean, he's hitting $250 right now, has 9 home runs. I don't know much about this pitcher. I looked up stats on him. There's not a lot, but Kwang Hyung Kim, the lefty for St. Louis, taking the mound tonight. Right on left matchup has always been his specialty, a guy that absolutely mashes left-handed pitching. So I think a really good spot playing in St. Louis on the road. And that's really it in terms of some one-off bats. So to kind of really quickly recap here, what do we like? In terms of pitching, we want to go Gallen, we want to go Sheffield. Specifically stacks, I'm talking Minnesota tonight. I'm talking Baltimore as a random stack. You have your Dodgers in a good spot, and then beyond that, you have a number of ones that will be mixed in, whether you want to go with the lefties from Boston, whether you want to see what that Atlanta lineup comes out as. But those are really where I'm sticking for stacks, and then of course the one-off bats I mentioned. So that's really the quick recap. Hopefully these videos are helpful for you guys. We've been doing good over the last couple of weeks, mainly throughout this entire season, so please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Really easy to do. Just hit that button down there. Yeah, we publish DFS content every single day. Please please make sure to follow us over at No Huddle FS. I'll publish some last-minute thoughts, publish some information over there before lock. Make sure you do check out weather, check out the lineups, check out Vegas, everything that will change before lock. Again, hopefully these videos are helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I'm looking forward to NFL coming up here soon. And with that said, good luck. I'll catch you in the next video.